Welcome back to yet another new type of video. So, as some of you have guessed, when I got back into Bionicle as an adult, one of the first things that I did was, of course, collect all of these masks. If you want to know how expensive that was, how long that took me, if this video gets 1,000 likes, I'll do a video breaking down exactly how much I paid for each of these masks. But what you might notice here is that this is incomplete. And that's just because over the last few weeks, we've kind of plundered this for videos. So here, I'll bring all these back in. And we're going to talk about just, how I prefer to set this up. So first I'll talk about what is this? I chose to display these just in the way that I thought was the simplest. As some of you may know, this piece can attach to a set of studs, right? I don't know if this is a spacer or a washer. I guess it's not a washer, but a spacer, right? And so this spacer is intentionally designed by Lego to be able to fit exactly like this in these studs and hold. And so what I designed, which I think is the simplest thing, I can't imagine I invented this, is you take a too long axle and then right into the back of the head here. And you've created these that you can just clip in as you wish and put masks on. And so, yeah, it is that simple. It helps to put the mask on first. And then, yeah, you'll notice this is kind of dusty. That's just because it's been a number of years since I first made this. And so the second thing I want to do in this video before I reassemble everything is talk a little bit about why I chose to do it this way. So first I want to talk about I guess the first decision really is whether you want your masks or your colors to go across like this. And I decided that I wanted to design a totem pole, if you will, of masks. I thought that it made more sense to have the masks ordered like this and the same across, and then by default the colors go like this. So let's talk then. Once I decided I wanted to do that, the next thing I needed to decide was what is the proper order? And there's a few more assumptions here that I'll spell out in detail, but let's just look at them. So I'll push this stuff kind of to the side. Let's just focus on the black masks. You can't really see them in this lighting. Let's do the white masks then. I think that might be the clearest. I'm gonna have to remove these, unfortunately, but don't worry, this is derived, so we could reconstruct this without really needing any information other than how these masks look. So here are 6 masks in white, and wow, don't they look cool? And probably you know this if you are a avid Bionicle collector, is that the white, especially the older they are, is rapidly becoming the rarest color because white sun damages and yellows. And all kinds of things go wrong with white. I have this Star Wars Lego set where it was white next to red. And I was this is a 2007, maybe 2006, Star Wars set. And all of my white pieces have started to take on this red color. And I don't, they've been sitting in a box. I was looking at them maybe last Christmas or 2 Christmases ago at my parents' place. And I'm not sure why that happens, but white, yeah, the white polymer, or the absence of a dye. I don't actually know how Lego dyes the white pieces, but the white is the color that damages the easiest. And so these are kind of some of the more difficult ones to track down in good condition. Well, anyway, we've got these here. Maybe we could organize. I thought about, you have your 2 sets that build the sort of powered things together. Maybe we should segregate it like that. You also thought about could we do a rainbow? But ultimately, what I thought was these are visual shapes that There is that sort of like South Pacific Islander through line. Obviously, totem poles are from the Pacific Northwest, so not really the same thing at all. But this sort of geometric thing, right, is something that is a common artistic through line. And so I thought, okay, if I was going to stack these masks, like where to start? And I think the most obvious thing is like which of these masks goes on the bottom of a tower, and I think that's a pretty clear answer. It's this one. This mask, Onua's mask, is the biggest mask. I think, I've never like calculated it, but it feels the biggest. It's wide and tall. I think it's definitely the tallest. I don't know if the actual area is the largest, but I think that's pretty clearly on the bottom of the tower. And then the other thing that I think is quite obvious is that this is on the top. Why? This looks like a triangle to me, Pohatu's mask. And so I wanted this to be on top. And then I now have a much simpler decision tree of 4 masks where I can quickly decide a few things. It's almost hard to derive this because there's like a few different reasons I land this. But I think number one, let's think about these two and these 2 masks. These 2 masks have a very similar profile. And so I think I want to avoid them being next to each other, just generally. And then these ones, this mask is circular, which is a kind of something that doesn't look stable. And so I knew that I wanted this mask to be somewhere that felt stable. And then this mask is visually different, right? Because of the color from all these other ones. And I decided that I wanted this one to be in the top half because it has this different visual look. It feels more natural to have that sort of like a window, maybe like higher up in a stable structure. And so that being said, we know that neither of these goes here. And then we know that one of these has to go here. And so what I came down to was kind of like, which of these will better fill the space? Is it better like this or like this? And I think where I landed is that these almost kind of look too similar. And there's something about this how that to me feels very stable. And I do like the way that the how kind of mirrors a lot of, it has these lines here, just like the Picari. It has this sort of top thing, not quite, and they have this mouth in the middle. They have similar things, but on a different silhouette. And so I thought this was an interesting pair. And then by design, that meant because I didn't want these to all stack like this goes up here. And so now I'm just deciding, okay, these two, do I want to prioritize the window being higher up, or do I want to prioritize this circular thing that looks unstable maybe being higher up? And ultimately, because I don't want to do this, where I landed was this one. And I like it. This is what I landed on. I think having this circle in the middle, it kind of disappears. What this really reminds me of is actually the Bionicle pens. They had those different bead sizes, and some of them had masks and some of them didn't. And then this being in the top feels right. I think, this mask of levitation, mask of speed, very airy. This is see-through, very higher up. So you could organize it however you want, but this is what I chose. And then the other thing that I know, once I sort of landed on the stack order, is that the rest of it is all derived now. Because I wanted the true masks, so that is the Toa's mask in their color, to be on the diagonal, to be on this diagonal, not this diagonal, this diagonal. And why that is because I wanted the Toa mask, the Toa Mata masks, to be in the upper left quadrant of a 4x4 of mask recolors with the Traga masks ultimately, where this diagonal goes down and creates the the mask that goes with each character to the extent that they go with them, but you know, their default mask, if you will. So yeah, that's that. So let me complete this diagonal for you to just really spell out what I'm talking about. So right here, Onua, Tahu, and then we have Kopaka is going to be right here. Gali, Liwa, and then Pohatu up here in the corner. And so I'm going to move these white ones down here. Bring everything back into frame so you can watch me build this, I guess. And yeah, I guess I'm just going to get right to it so that we have this to talk about. And I know that I could have chosen one of many different colors for this, right? These base plates come in green and blue and white for ice and gray, I believe. And they may come in like sand, like tan. I don't know if they come in black. I wouldn't be surprised. I would kind of doubt that they come in red. But essentially, of all those colors I just listed, gray is the only one that doesn't coincide with the mask of this set, but it does coincide with, you know, Nuju's mask, which I have right here. So the reason that I defaulted to green is because green is the default Lego color for this piece. You know, like I'm old enough where I remember having these and building on these, and these should be green. This is grass, right? That's like, you know, just sort of the classic thing. And this is, you know, this is 2001 Bionicle. These are classic Lego sets at this point. So I know it is the same color as Liwa, and that does sort of present something of a small issue. But, you know, it is what it is. And I stand by my design choice. I'm just going to build these out from the middle because I don't, the flaw of this, right, is that these bend. And so I'm not going to do this, but I could bend this and all of these would fall like harder and all of these would fall off. And I prop this up against a wall. You know, you could nail this to a wall or whatnot. I choose to do this way. I know people make like much more involved like Technic mask holders, but I like this one for its simplicity. And yeah, I mean, I bought a bunch of all of these. You know, I bought enough for 4 of these. Probably more than 4 actually, because it's like these masks, the Traga masks, the Nuva masks, and then all of the other masks. And that's really what this video is this video was probably going to be titled a unified mask theory or unified theory of Bionicle masks. And the idea is that I'm creating a grid by which all of the sort of actual masks. So I know that the collectors like to have like, you know, the headpieces and like the windshields and all of this, like of all the villains. Personally, that's not for me. I really just care about these masks, like that click on to these faces. I think, you know, when they substituted it for the axle, like those are okay. But this is what it is. Like Bionicle is about the masks. And I think I've said this before, but you know, that's what I think was enjoyable about Bionicle. And I also think was something that I don't know if like the market became saturated, but think about the timing when Bionicle first enters the market, 2001 or 2000. You know, this is Pokemon era, this Yu-Gi-Oh, like Beyblades, like everything is collectible at this time. And so like Lego, this is their foray into collectibles. And with the mask pack boxes, I mean, blind boxes, right? Which is essentially gambling for kids, right? If you really think about it. And I do think this was like a major reason why I was drawn to Bionicle was the idea, and I've talked about this a lot with the modularity, but just the thrill of going to, you know, was it Ames back in the day? And being able to buy a small little, you know, with my allowance, like a small little mask pack that would allow like one of my toys to become a new character. I just think there's something really thrilling about that. So yeah, this video, I'm gonna leave it here in terms of the masks, but this is the framework that I've built. See, we have this diagonal of the Toa masks. And so just like first way of example, right, the Traga mask would be like, some of them they would go down like this. I don't know what the order is for this because I haven't done this yet in terms of collecting, but that's kind of what this is building to. And so this now will be the framework for the next like number of videos. And so yeah, so this is a collection that I collected independently, and just for completion's sake, you know, this is our collection from the last video. So you know, we had some. So yeah, here we go. I think this is a sort of mini series. It will go under season 1. That I'm just excited to put together this theory and collect all the masks. So yeah, thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe if you want to follow me on this quest.